The average person often imagines something purely physical, a brief moment of affection or attraction. But this kind of thinking is limited, shallow, and reactive. It lacks the depth of understanding that the greatest minds have always known, that energy, emotion, and intention are the real forces that drive human connection. A kiss, when done with presence and awareness, can bypass logic, override resistance, and reach into the deepest parts of a woman's emotional blueprint. It is not just an act, it's a message. And that message, when delivered the right way, can trigger something profound in the human psyche, especially in a woman whose nervous system is tuned to receive not just touch, but truth, safety, and emotional resonance. You see, the body has memory. Science has shown us that our skin, our muscles, even our heartbeat holds a record of past emotional experiences. When a woman has experienced joy, trauma, comfort, fear, love, or abandonment, those memories are not just in her thoughts, they live in her body. Her nervous system has been shaped by those memories, and the power of intentional touch, especially in the form of a kiss, can unlock doors that may have been shut for years. That is not romantic talk. That is the power of frequency. That is the language of energy. And that is where transformation begins. But most people miss this because they are stuck in transactional love. They're stuck in doing what they saw in movies, copying what culture taught them, mimicking affection instead of transmitting it. You cannot ignite deep emotional desire with technique alone. No woman wants a script, she wants a feeling. She wants to feel chosen, not because of a role she plays, but because your soul recognizes hers, and that recognition can happen in a kiss. But only when that kiss is led by emotional presence and deep internal alignment. So when you kiss a woman with intention, especially in places where emotion resides not just in lust, but in love, you awaken something ancient inside her. These aren't just spots you kiss, they are symbols. They represent something far more profound than flesh. Let's take the forehead, for example. A kiss on the forehead is not sexual, it's spiritual. It communicates safety, reverence, and unconditional acceptance. It tells her subconscious mind, I see you, you're safe, I am not here to take, I'm here to hold. That one kiss can dismantle walls that years of therapy haven't touched. Why? Because it addresses a primal emotional need, the need to feel protected, cherished, and emotionally seen without needing to perform. There are moments in life when we don't need more information, we need more presence. And emotional presence is something most people have never been taught. Most people are living with reactive emotions, not intentional ones. They touch without thinking, speak without feeling, and act without being aware of the energetic weight their actions carry. But when you bring awareness to something as simple as a kiss, everything changes. You're no longer just kissing her. You're communicating with her nervous system. You're sending signals of peace, of attention, of genuine emotional engagement. That's when desire becomes emotional, not just physical. Women respond not to performance but to depth, and depth is created when you are present, not just in the moment, but in your energy. You are not rushing, you are not seeking, you are giving. That's why a kiss can be life-altering. That's why it can leave a lasting imprint, not because of where your lips land, but because of where your energy goes. You're not kissing for effect, you're kissing from truth. That truth is rare. And in a world full of temporary pleasures, a kiss that carries emotional intention stands out like a lighthouse in the fog. It becomes memorable, it becomes meaningful, it becomes magnetic. We have been trained to chase the external. Looks, gestures, attention. But when you start to understand the internal, the energetic layers of emotion, safety, and subconscious response, you begin to operate on a different level. A level that doesn't just create attraction, it creates devotion, and that starts with knowing that every touch carries weight. Every word holds vibration, and every kiss, if delivered with presence, has the power to change not just how she feels, but how she sees you. This is about being intentional, This is about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase because he has learned to attract through his energy, through his awareness, through his alignment. So many men ask, what's the secret to creating deep emotional connection? And the answer is always the same. Become present, be fully there, because when you are fully there, when your kiss is not a technique but a transmission, she will feel it. Not in her lips, not just in her body, but in her heart. And once the heart is touched, once the emotional layers are engaged, everything changes. That's where emotional desire lives. That's where true connection begins. There's a kind of wisdom that lives inside the body, a kind of knowledge that has nothing to do with logic or intellect, but everything to do with experience, emotion, and memory. When it comes to physical touch, especially something as intimate as a kiss, certain areas of the body hold more than just sensation. They hold symbolism, they hold history, they hold energy. And when those places are kissed with intention, care, and emotional awareness, they unlock not just pleasure, but trust, connection, and deep emotional longing. These are not just kiss points, they are emotional gateways. They invite a woman to feel safe, valued, adored, and seen. When you understand the emotional coding of these three places, the forehead, the back of the hand, and the shoulder/neck, you begin to speak a language beyond words. You start communicating with her nervous system, her subconscious mind, her emotional core, and in doing so, you create a connection that isn't just physical, it's unforgettable. Let's begin with the forehead. A kiss on the forehead may seem small, gentle, even insignificant to someone who doesn't understand its depth. But to a woman who craves emotional security, that kiss is everything. It's a sign that says, I protect you, I honor you, you matter to me beyond appearance or performance. The forehead is close to the mind, yes, but even more importantly, it is a symbolic place of reverence. In many cultures and spiritual traditions, the forehead is kissed as a gesture of blessing, of peace, of soul-level respect. When a man places his lips there, not to seduce but to soothe, it signals emotional maturity. It shows her that she's not just being touched, she's being held. And that kiss has the power to disarm her defenses, calm her spirit, and make her feel more emotionally connected than any grand romantic gesture. Then there is the back of the hand. In our modern world, it's easy to forget the old world charm of this gesture. It may seem outdated, but it still holds incredible emotional potency. When a man gently lifts a woman's hand and places a kiss on the back of it, he is offering something far deeper than charm. He's offering recognition. He's saying, I see your worth, I admire you, I respect your essence. This kiss isn't about possession. It's not a kiss of hunger. It's a kiss of honor. The hands are how we work, how we give, how we hold others. So when a man kisses the back of a woman's hand, he's symbolically appreciating all the unseen, emotional labor she gives to the world. He's acknowledging the grace in her strength. And this can awaken deep emotional desire because it taps into her need to be loved not for what she does, but for who she is at her core. Finally, the shoulder and neck area. This is a region that carries tension, vulnerability, and intimacy all at once. To kiss a woman here is to enter sacred space, but it must be done with presence and care. The neck and shoulder are where she carries stress, emotion, and often unresolved feelings. A kiss placed there, with deep intention, tells her nervous system that she can exhale, that she can let go, that she is safe to surrender. This kiss is different from the forehead and hand. It's more sensual, but it still holds emotional power when done consciously. It tells her, you are beautiful to me, I desire you, but I do not take you for granted. The neck and shoulder area is also where lovers tend to show the most physical tenderness. But the difference between surface-level passion and emotionally rooted intimacy is all in the energy. When the kiss is given from a grounded, loving place, not from need or expectation. It becomes healing. It becomes a balm to the wounds she may not even speak of. And here's the truth most men don't realize. When a woman feels emotionally safe and deeply seen, her desire blooms naturally. You don't have to push for it. You don't have to convince her. These 3 kisses, when placed with the right energy, do the work for you. They speak a language beyond logic, a language of the soul. They bypass resistance and open her heart because they come from a place of care, of depth, of presence. In a world where many women have learned to guard themselves, these kinds of kisses send a new signal. A signal that says, you can relax now. You are not here to be used. You are here to be loved. That message changes everything. Each kiss becomes a seed planted in the soil of her emotional garden. And when you plant seeds of emotional security, reverence, and intimacy, the fruits that grow are trust, devotion, and connection. These are the ingredients of deep emotional desire. They are not built in a moment, but they are awakened in one. And that awakening starts when your actions align with emotional intention, when your touch carries respect. When your kiss becomes a mirror, reflecting not what you want from her, but what you feel for her. That's what creates magnetic energy. That's what separates surface-level attention from soul-level love. And when you kiss her in these places, not as a tactic, but as an expression of your emotional awareness, you invite her to open not just her body, but her heart. You invite her to feel safe enough to desire, to want, to be fully present with you in return. Rejection is one of the most misunderstood experiences in a person's emotional life. Most people see no as a full stop, a dead end, a signal that they aren't good enough, that something went wrong, or that they've failed. But this mindset is not only false, it's destructive. It keeps people from growing, from evolving, from trying again with more awareness and greater alignment. No is not the end of something. It's the beginning of something deeper. In fact, the word no often carries the hidden invitation to look inward, to ask the question, what is this really teaching me? When you learn to look at rejection not as a barrier but as a mirror, you discover something powerful. It was never about the other person. It was always about your belief, your energy, your identity, and what you allow to define you. In relationships, and especially in emotionally vulnerable situations, people are terrified of hearing no. They fear the judgment, they fear the sting, but that fear is rooted in a false identity, a belief that your worth is tied to someone else's reaction. When you internalize that belief, no becomes devastating. It becomes proof that you're not lovable, not worthy, not enough. But this is not the truth. The truth is that no is feedback. It's guidance. It's a signal from the universe saying, this isn't aligned right now, but maybe you are being called to become more than you were when you asked. That doesn't mean you are broken or unworthy. It means life is shaping you into the version of yourself that is more aligned, more powerful, and more emotionally aware. A woman might say no for 1,000 reasons that have nothing to do with you. Maybe she doesn't feel safe. Maybe her nervous system is still recovering from past betrayal. Maybe she doesn't trust herself to open up emotionally. Maybe her heart wants love, but her mind is still in survival mode. When she says no, it doesn't mean you failed. It means she's in a process. And if you can hold that space without resentment, you become a man who doesn't just chase desire, but understands emotion. And that's rare, that's powerful, that's attractive. Think about it. The strongest trees don't grow in perfect weather. They grow where the wind teaches them balance, where the rain teaches them patience, and where the storm teaches them resilience. Rejection is a storm of the ego, but it is the sunlight of the soul. It strips away false identities, shaky confidence, and hollow charm. It forces you to dig deeper, to ask, what am I really here for? What kind of love do I want to create? What kind of energy do I want to bring into this world? That level of reflection turns no into a spiritual teacher, and when you learn to listen not with defense but with humility, you begin to hear what's really being said beneath the rejection. Many people carry wounds from their past where they were told no in harsh, careless, or humiliating ways. Maybe it was a parent, a first crush, a partner, or a teacher, and every time they hear that word again, it echoes back to the pain of those moments. But healing begins when you reclaim the meaning of no. When you say to yourself, I can be told no and still be worthy, that is emotional freedom, that is personal power. It means you are no longer a prisoner of external validation. You have found something deeper inside, the ability to approve of yourself, and when you move from that place, your energy changes, people feel it, women feel it. You are no longer seeking approval, you are offering connection. Overcoming no isn't about pushing harder, it's about understanding more. It's about learning the timing of things, about trusting that what is truly meant for you won't require you to betray your dignity or force something that isn't ready. It's knowing that rejection isn't always personal, it's often protection. It's often a redirection towards something more aligned, more emotionally intelligent, and more fulfilling. But most people never get there because they stop at the pain. They don't go deep enough to find the lesson. They don't stay long enough to hear the wisdom beneath the silence, and that's where transformation is lost. But when you decide that no is not your enemy, that it's your teacher, you rise above fear. You stop living for acceptance and start living from authenticity. You realize that emotional desire isn't built through control, it's built through understanding. And when you understand yourself more deeply, you can meet rejection not with shame, but with strength. You become unshakable, not because you're numb, but because you've done the work, you've faced the wound and reclaimed the power that was once taken from you. You begin to see no as sacred. You realize that the woman who rejects you might actually be awakening something in you, a deeper standard, a stronger boundary, a clearer sense of who you are and what you deserve. And that awakening is not a loss, it's a gift. It shifts your path, it changes your energy, it opens doors you never knew existed, but only if you're willing to receive it, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because the person who can face rejection with grace is the person who can love without fear, and that kind of love, that fearless love, is the kind that changes destinies. In a world where everyone is busy talking, posting, moving, proving, emotional presence has become a lost art. We live in an age of constant distraction, where most people are physically there but mentally miles away. This disconnect is felt most deeply in intimate relationships. A woman doesn't crave perfection, wealth, or scripted lines, she craves presence. She craves someone who isn't just touching her body, but tuning into her energy, her silence, her unspoken language. Emotional desire isn't triggered through fancy gestures or shallow compliments. It's awakened when a man is fully, unmistakably there, in the moment, in his body, in his awareness. That kind of presence creates a safety and emotional intimacy that words can never replicate. When a man is emotionally present, his touch becomes healing, his kiss becomes grounding, his eye contact becomes a sanctuary. It's not about technique, it's about energy. When you are truly present with a woman, she can feel it. Her nervous system picks up on the difference between someone who's rushing to get something and someone who's surrendered to simply being there. Women are deeply intuitive. They may not always explain what they feel, but they know when someone is pretending, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. And in the absence of emotional presence, no amount of physical connection will ever be enough to satisfy her. Emotional presence requires stillness, not physical stillness, but mental and spiritual stillness, the ability to quiet the noise inside your head, the urge to impress, the anxiety of outcome, the racing thoughts of self-doubt. When you quiet all of that, what remains is you, your truth, your essence, and from that place, every action becomes more powerful. A simple touch can say, I see you. A gentle kiss can whisper, I'm here with you, not just for you. That difference is everything. It's the difference between making love and making contact. It's the difference between shallow attention and soul-level connection. When you look at a woman and you're fully present, she doesn't feel observed, she feels seen, and being seen is the foundation of emotional desire. To see her not just with your eyes, but with your intention, to understand her emotional state, her vulnerability, her rhythms, that takes awareness, it takes empathy, it takes a decision to slow down and be fully available in that moment. You're not there to conquer, you're there to connect. That shift changes everything. It turns physical touch into emotional invitation. It transforms a moment into a memory. It takes a kiss and makes it a message. Most men are taught to focus on performance, what to do, how to do it, when to do it. But performance without presence is empty. It may create sparks, but it won't ignite the kind of emotional fire that keeps burning long after the moment is gone. Presence is the fuel for emotional intimacy. It says, I'm not here to take, I'm here to feel with you. And when a woman feels that, her body responds, her heart softens, her trust deepens. That's when she begins to open up emotionally, not because she was persuaded, but because she feels safe enough to reveal herself. Being emotionally present also means being attuned to yourself. You can't be present with her if you're disconnected from you. So you have to cultivate self-awareness. You have to know what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and be willing to hold space for discomfort without running from it. That inner stability becomes outer reliability, and reliability is one of the most emotionally attractive traits a man can offer. A woman doesn't just want chemistry, she wants consistency. She wants to feel that when life shakes, you don't vanish, that when her emotions rise, you don't shut down, that when she shares her truth, you don't flinch or flee. Emotional presence is not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, calm, and powerful. It's the kind of energy that walks into a room and brings peace without needing to speak. It's the pause before you react, the stillness before you touch, the awareness before you act. When a man masters this, he becomes unforgettable, not because of what he does, but because of how he makes her feel. She remembers the safety, she remembers the silence that felt like being held. She remembers the way you didn't rush her or pressure her, but simply stayed with her in the moment. This kind of presence builds trust, and trust is the soil in which emotional desire grows. You cannot force it, you cannot manipulate it, but you can create the conditions for it to arise naturally. When a woman feels that you are truly with her, not just physically but energetically, she lets go, she softens, she feels safe to express, to receive, to desire, and desire that is born from emotional presence is deep, lasting, and transformative. It's no longer about fleeting pleasure. It becomes about mutual nourishment, shared vulnerability, and real emotional intimacy. In relationships, it's not the loud moments that leave the biggest impact, it's the quiet ones where presence was felt. The moments when she knew you weren't trying to impress her, but simply allowing her to be seen. That presence becomes the foundation of emotional connection, and from that connection, real desire grows. Not the kind that fades with time, but the kind that deepens with every kiss, every pause, every moment of true, unshakable presence. Most people live their lives trapped in a loop of feelings they don't understand, reacting to experiences instead of creating them. They let their emotions dictate their actions, their past define their future, and their fear set the boundaries of what they allow themselves to experience. But the truth is, every single human being has the ability to change the direction of their life, not by changing the external world first, but by changing how they feel inside. Feelings are not just responses. They are instructions to the subconscious mind. They act like frequencies, and whatever frequency you embody, you attract. So when you learn how to shift your emotional state consciously, deliberately, and consistently, you begin to rewrite the story of your life, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. That is how destinies are changed. You've probably been told that your thoughts create your reality, but it goes deeper than that. It's not just about what you think, it's about what you feel about what you think. You can affirm success 1,000 times, but if deep down you feel unworthy of it, the dominant frequency is not your words, it's your emotional vibration. This is why two people can take the same actions and get wildly different results, because it's not just action that shapes your path, it's the emotional charge behind the action. When your actions are driven by fear, anxiety, or self-doubt, you manifest situations that reflect those same frequencies. But when you shift your emotional foundation into belief, gratitude, confidence, and love, your entire reality begins to rearrange around that new signal. The problem is that most people never learn how to manage their emotions, let alone transform them. They suppress, they ignore, they distract themselves, or worse, they accept the lie that how they feel is just the way it is. But emotions are not fixed, they are fluid, and more importantly, they are trainable. Just like muscles, your emotional states respond to repetition and practice. The more you train yourself to return to emotional alignment, the easier it becomes to shift out of state. Like shame, fear, or anger, You don't do this by denying negative feelings, you do it by understanding them, by meeting them with awareness instead of judgment, by asking, what is this emotion trying to show me about my beliefs? That question alone has the power to unlock a level of freedom most people never touch. Destiny isn't something written in the stars. It's written in your habits, your choices, and your emotions. If you constantly feel like a victim, life will give you situations that confirm that feeling. If you carry unworthiness, even your victories will feel empty. But when you learn to generate your emotional state regardless of circumstance, you become powerful. You no longer wait for the world to give you permission to feel good. You become the source of that feeling. And when you become the source, you stop chasing love, validation, and success. You attract them because your energy is aligned with them. Imagine the difference between someone who walks into a room desperate to be liked and someone who walks into a room already full of love, certainty, and presence. The second person changes the energy of the space not because of what they say, but because of what they carry. That's the power of emotional alignment. It's not about pretending to be happy. It's about embodying the truth that your emotional state is your greatest leverage point for creating the life you want. Every great transformation starts there, not in changing the world, but in changing the way you feel in it. Think about love and intimacy. Most people try to find the right person to make them feel better. But relationships are not healing centers, they are amplifiers. Whatever you feel about yourself, your partner will mirror. That's why the most attractive energy is emotional wholeness. When you show up in a relationship from a place of self-generated confidence and presence, you become magnetic. You're not there to complete each other. You're there to create something together, but you can't create from emptiness. You can only create from overflow, and overflow only comes when you learn how to align your emotions with the vision of the life you want to live. Changing your destiny begins with a decision, the decision to stop letting your past emotions run your present reality. It requires discipline not just in thought, but in emotional practice. That means waking up and asking, how do I want to feel today? And then doing whatever it takes to align with that feeling, whether that's breathwork, journaling, silence, movement, visualization, or simply changing your inner dialogue. Those little acts of emotional alignment build momentum, and momentum builds transformation. You are not here to react to life. You are here to create it, and the tool you've had all along is your emotional state. When you stop waiting for things to change and start changing the way you feel in the middle of those things, you reclaim your power. You shift from being a passive participant to an intentional creator. That's when the external world begins to reflect your internal shift. That's when synchronicities show up. That's when people, opportunities, and miracles begin to move in your favor. Not because you forced them, but because you aligned with them. Your feelings are not weaknesses. They are maps. They show you where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, but you have to listen to them. You have to learn their language, and most importantly, you have to stop using them as excuses and start using them as tools, because the moment you take full responsibility for your emotional state, everything around you begins to respond, not slowly, not eventually, but instantly. It may take time for the physical world to catch up, but the shift begins the moment you decide that you are no longer a prisoner of your emotional past. You are the architect of your emotional future. And that future, no matter what has come before, is always available the moment you choose to feel differently.